We've all heard the name Simone Biles. Simone Biles is a world-renowned gymnast, with her having 7 Olympic medals, 4 being gold, 1 being silver, and 2 being bronze. She's the most decorated American gymnast. In the 2021 Olympics, she decided to pull out of the competition, and she explained it in an interview, saying, "I say put mental health first, because if you don't, then you're not going to succeed and you're not going to enjoy your sport as much as you want to." Marcus Thompson goes into depth about her choice and her decision to pull out of the competition in his article, Simone Biles and the Most Human Meaning of Courage, saying her reasoning was even more stunning and that she was fighting all these demons. She is a prime example of how a sport and its pressures can negatively impact a woman's mental health. Good morning. My name is Grace Desario, and today I'll be discussing women athletes' mental health. My research question is, to what extent does a female athlete's sport affect their mental health and body image? My argument to that question is that female athletes are much more vulnerable to mental illness than non-athletes and male athletes. There's an excessive amount of pressure women are often faced with in their respective sport. Oftentimes, women are held to a standard of perfection and are never allowed to fail, especially in the collegiate and professional levels. When someone is put under that amount of pressure, that can affect them to develop several kinds of mental illnesses, such as anxiety and depression, that non-athletes and male athletes are not as susceptible to. As you can see in this graph by the Sports Medicine Journal, it takes 465 NCAA D1 athletes and compares them between gender and split amongst various sports. In track and field, there is a 12% difference between men and women depression symptoms. In soccer, a staggering 18% difference. In softball or baseball, it is 12%, and in lacrosse, there's a 5% difference between men and women depression symptoms. Here is concrete evidence that because of a female sport and the overwhelming amount of pressure and stress, they are more vulnerable to mental illnesses than their male counterparts. Now, eating disorders are another type of mental illness that women are often challenged and faced with. There are several types of eating disorders, such as anorexia nervosa, which is restricting your diet, bulimia nervosa, which is overeating and then purging, such as vomiting or using laxatives, and orthorexia, which is an obsession with healthy food. All of these disorders can negatively impact an athlete's performance. Research has proven that athletes are more likely to develop an eating disorder than the general population. This is especially true with female athletes because of the hyperfixation of their bodies, unlike how it is for male athletes. They do not face the same type of scrutiny of their body shapes as women do. In this graph, it compares the risk of developing an eating disorder between the general female population and the female athletic population. For anorexia nervosa, there's a 4.2% risk of developing anorexia within the non-athletic female population. There's a 35% risk of developing anorexia nervosa within the female athletic population. For bulimia, which is again another type of eating disorder, there's only a 4% risk for the general female population to develop it, while a staggering and astounding 58% risk of developing bulimia within the female athletic population. Female athletes will not be able to perform well if they don't have proper fuel for their bodies, and they won't be able to train well. This is why harmful eating disorders are so prevalent in athletes. So how can this be prevented? One of the most crucial ways to mitigate or prevent health complications such as anxiety, depression, and various types of eating disorders are coaches. Coaches that can create a meaningful and healthy bond with their athletes will be able to reduce the amount of mental disorders their athletes face. If a coach cannot succeed in developing a healthy relationship with their athletes, that will result in depression and stress, and both of those can lead to poor athletic performance and athletic burnout, which athletes won't be able to perform well, do well, and the team will go downhill. But if a coach can create a healthy relationship, that can lead to a multitude of beneficial things for the team and the athlete as a whole. That can lead to good mental health, which will result in positivity and willingness to work within practice, and the coach will be able to gain the athlete's trust, which is essential and critical to good team morale and better communication. My solution is that the best way to combat deteriorating mental health within female athletes is for coaches to form healthy relationships with their athletes so they can know what's going on in their lives and how they can help and aid them. They can give them the proper resources they need and the proper amount of help. A good representation of this is Simone Biles and her coach in the 2021 Olympics. Her coach wasn't mad at her or upset with her when Simone decided to pull out of the competition. She was there for her when she needed her, and this is exactly what the female athletes need more of and what the sports world in general needs more of. Thank you. Here's my
All right, 2 questions for you. First up, how did your research question evolve as you worked your way through the entire process?
At first, my research question was very broad, and it was going to be about just mental health as a whole. And then as I delved further into it, I decided I really wanted to hone in on body image because that is a very prevalent thing within females.
Okay. And if you had more time, what additional research would you have conducted on this issue?
I would have conducted how eating disorders can affect a woman's body and physically long term, and how the lack of fuel and the harmful things they're doing to their body impacts them.